Where do you come from and where are you going? Look up, speak nicely, and don't twiddle your fingers.
You see, I've lost my way.
I don't know what you mean by your way. All the ways about here belong to me. But why did you come out here at all? Curtsy while you're thinking what to say. It saves time.
I'll try it when I go home. The next time I'm a little late for dinner.
It's time for you to answer now. Open your mouth a little wider when you speak and always say, Your Majesty.
I only wanted to see what the garden was like, Your Majesty.
That's right. Though when you say garden, I've seen gardens, compared with which you'd call that a wilderness.
And I thought I'd try and make my way to the top of that hill.
When you say hill, I've seen hills, compared with which you'd call that a valley.
No, I shouldn't. A hill can't be a valley, you know. That would be nonsense.
You may call it nonsense if you like, but I've seen nonsense, compared with which you'd call that as sensible as a dictionary.
Why, I declare it's marked out just like a large chessboard. It's a huge game of chess that's being played all over the world, if this is the world at all. Oh, how I should like to be a part of it. I wouldn't mind being a pawn, if only I might join. Though, of course, I should like to be a queen best.
That's easily managed. You can be the white queen's pawn, as the least young to play, and you're in the second square to begin with. And when you get to the 8th square, you'll be a queen. Come on, faster, faster!
I wonder if the things move along with us.
Don't try to talk. Faster, faster!
Are we nearly there?
Nearly there. Why, we passed it 10 minutes ago. Come on now, faster, faster! You may rest a little now.
Why, I do believe we've been under this tree the whole time. Everything's just as it was.
Of course it is. What would you have it?
Well, in our country, you generally get to somewhere else when you've been running really fast for a long time as we have.
A slow sort of country. Now here, it takes all the running you can do to stay in the same place. If you want to get somewhere else, you must run at least twice as fast as that.
I'd rather not try, please. I'm quite content to stay where I am. Only, I am so hot and thirsty.
I know what you'd like. Have a biscuit? Go on. Go on. Now, while you're refreshing yourself, I'll just take the measurement. Now, at the end of 2 yards, I shall give you your directions. Now, would you like another biscuit?
No, thank you. One's quite enough.
There's quenched, I hope. At the end of 3 yards, I shall repeat them for your fear of forgetting. At the end of 4, I shall say goodbye. And at the end of 5, I shall go. Now, a pawn goes 2 squares in its first move, so you go very quickly through the 3rd square. By railway, I should think. Now, the fourth belongs to Tweedledee and Tweedledum. The 5th is mostly water. The 6th belongs to Humpty Dumpty, and the... You make no remark?
I didn't know I was supposed to make one just then.
You should have said. It's extremely kind of you to tell me all this. But we'll suppose it said. Now, the 7th square is all forest, but one of the knights will show you the way. The 8th square is when you and I will be queens together, and it's all feasting and fun. Up, up. Get up. Now, speak in French when you can't think of the English for a thing. Turn out your toes when you walk, and remember your name.
She can run very fast.
Goodbye.
Tickets, please! Now then, show your tickets, child.
Don't keep her waiting, child. Why, her time.
It's worth £1,000 a minute.
I'm afraid I haven't got one. There wasn't a ticket office where I came from.
There wasn't room for one where she came from. The land there.
It was worth £1,000 an inch. You should. Don't make excuses. You should have bought one from the engine driver.
The man that drives the engine. Why, smoke alone
is worth £1,000 a puff.
Then there's no use in speaking.
You better say nothing at all.
Language
is worth £1,000 a word.
I shall dream about £1,000 tonight. I know I shall.
You're traveling the wrong way.
So young a child ought to know which way she's going, even if she doesn't know her own name.
She ought to know her way to a ticket office, even if she doesn't know her alphabet. She ought to get back from here as luggage.
It's only a brook we have to jump over.
However, it'll take us into the 4th square. That's some comfort.
If you think we're waxworks, you have to pay, you know. Waxworks aren't made to be looked at for nothing. No how.
Contrariwise, if you think we're alive, you ought to speak.
I'm sure I'm very sorry.
I know what you're thinking, but it isn't so. No how.
Contrariwise, if it was so, it would be. And if it were so, it might be. But as it isn't, it ain't. That's logic.
I was thinking which is the best way out of this wood. Would you tell me, please? They look so exactly like a couple of schoolgirls. First girl?
No how.
Next girl?
Contrariwise.
Would you tell me,
Do you
please?
like poetry?
Yes, pretty well.
What should we recite to her?
Some
The Walrus and the Carpenter. That's the longest.
If it's very long, would you...
The sun was shining on the sea.
Shining with all his might.
He did his very best to make.
The billows smooth and bright.
And this was odd.
Because it was the middle of the night. The Walrus and the Carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand.
If this were only cleared away,
They said,
it would be grand. Oh, oysters, come and walk with us, the Walrus to beseech. A pleasant talk, a pleasant walk along the briny beach.
We cannot do with more than 4 to give a hand to each. The eldest oyster looked at them, but never a word he said. The eldest oyster winked his eye and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave the oyster bed.
And 4 young oysters hurried up, all eager for the treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat. And this was odd because, you know, they hadn't any feet. 4 other oysters hurried, and yet another 4, and thick and fast they came at last, and more and more and more, all hopping through the frothy waves and scrambling to the shore.
The Walrus and the Carpenter walked on a mile or so, and then they stopped upon a rock conveniently low, and all the little oysters stood and waited in a row. "The time has come," the Walrus said, "to speak of many things, of shoes and ships and sealing wax, of cabbages and kings.
And why the sea is boiling hot, and whether pigs have wings.
A loaf of bread," the Walrus said, "is what we chiefly need.
Pepper and vinegar besides are very good indeed.
Now if you're ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed."
But not on us, the oysters cried, turning a little blue. After such kindness, that would be a dismal thing to do.
"The night is fine," the Walrus said. "Do you admire the view?"
It seemed such a shame, the Walrus said, to play them such a trick. After we brought them out so far and made them trot so quick.
The Carpenter said nothing but, "The butter's spread too thick." I weep for you, the walrus said. I deeply sympathize.
With sobs and tears he snorted out, those of the largest size, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes.
Oh, oysters, said the carpenter, you've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again? But answer, there came none.
But answer, there came none. And this was scarcely odd because they'd eaten every one.
So?
I like the walrus best because you see, he was a little sorry for the poor oysters.
Ah, but you see, he held his handkerchief in front of his hand so that the carpenter couldn't count how many he took, contrary-wise.
That was mean. Then I like the carpenter best, if he didn't eat so many as the walrus.
But he ate as many as he could get.
Well, they were both very unpleasant characters. At any rate, I'd better be getting out of this wood. It's really coming on quite dark. Do you think it's going to rain?
I don't think it is. At least not under here.
But it may rain outside.
It may if it chooses. We've no objection. Contrary-wise.
Selfish things. Here's somebody's shawl being blown off. I'm glad I happened to be in the way.
Bread and butter! Bread and butter! Bread and butter!
Am I addressing the White Queen?
Why, yes, if you call it addressing. It isn't my notion of a thing at all.
If your Majesty will only tell me the right way to begin, I'll do it as well as I can.
But I don't want it done at all.
Everything's crooked and she's all over pins. May I put your shawl straight for you?
I don't know what's the matter with it. It's out of temper, I think. I've pinned it here and I've pinned it there, but there's no pleasing it.
It can't go straight if you pin it all to one side. And dear me, what a state your hair is in.
The brush got entangled in it, and I lost the comb yesterday.
Come, you look rather better now. But really, you should have a lady's maid.
I'm sure I'll take you with pleasure. 2 pence a week and jam every other day.
I don't want you to hire me, and I don't care for jam.
It's very good jam.
Well, I don't want any today at any rate.
You couldn't have it if you did want it. The rule is jam tomorrow and jam yesterday, but never jam today.
It must come sometimes to jam today.
No, it can't. It's jam every other day. Today isn't any other day, you know?
I don't understand you. It's dreadfully confusing.
That's the effect of living backwards.
Living backwards? I never heard of such a thing.
But, you know, there is one great advantage in it, that one's memory works both ways.
I'm sure my memory only works one way. I can't remember things before they happen.
Well, it's a poor sort of memory that only works backwards.
What sort of things do you remember best?
Oh, things that happened the week after next. For instance now, there's a king's messenger, and he's in prison now being punished. And the trial doesn't begin until next Wednesday. And of course, the crime comes last of all.
Suppose he never commits the crime.
Well, that would be all the better, wouldn't it?
Of course it would be all the better, but it wouldn't be all the better his being punished.
You're wrong there. At any rate, were you ever punished?
Only for faults.
And you were all the better for them, I know.
Yes, but then I had done the things I was punished for. That makes all the difference, you know.
But if you hadn't done them, that would have been better still. Better and better and better. Ow! 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 My finger's bleeding! My finger's bleeding!
What's the matter? Have you pricked your finger?
I haven't pricked it yet, but I soon shall.
When do you expect to do it?
When I fasten my shawl again, the brush will come undone directly.
Take care, you're holding it all crooked.
Ow. There, you see? That accounts for the bleeding. Now you understand how things happen here.
But why don't you scream now?
Why, I've done all the screaming already. What would be the good of having it all over again?
I'm glad it's getting lighter. I thought it was the night coming on.
I wish I could manage to be glad. Only I can never remember the rule. You must be very happy living in this wood and being glad whenever you like.
Only it's so very lonely here.
Oh, don't go on like that. Consider what a great girl you are. Consider the long way you've come today. Consider anything. Just don't cry.
Can you keep from crying by considering things?
Well, that's the way it's done. Nobody can do two things at once. Let's consider your age to begin with. How old are you?
I'm 7.5 exactly.
You needn't say exactly. I can believe you without that. Now, I'll give you something to believe. I am 101 with 5 months and a day.
I can't believe that.
Can't you? Try again. Draw in a long breath and close your eyes.
There is no use in trying. One can't believe impossible things.
I dare say you haven't had much practice. When I was your age, I used to do it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Oh, there goes the shawl again. Now you shall see me put it on again, all by myself.
Then I hope your finger's all better now.
Oh, much better, much better. Better, better.
What is it you want to buy?
I don't quite know yet. I should like to look all around me first, if I might.
You can look in front of you, and you can look on both sides if you like. But you cannot look all around you unless you've got eyes on the back of your head. What are you, a child or a spinning top? You'll make me giddy soon if you keep turning like that.
How can he knit with so many? He gets more and more like a porcupine every minute.
Now what is it you want to buy?
To buy... I should like to buy an egg, please. How do you sell them?
5 pence falling for 1, 2 pence falling for 2.
Then 2 are cheaper than 1?
Only you must eat both eggs if you are to buy 2.
Then I'll take 1. They mightn't be at all nice, you know.
No, I never put things into people's hands. That would never do. You must go and get them yourself.
I wonder why it wouldn't do.
Is the strangest shop you ever saw?
Why, it's Humpty Dumpty himself. And how exactly like an egg he is.
It's very provoking to be called an egg. Very.
I only said you looked like an egg, sir. And some eggs are very pretty, you know.
Some people have no more sense than a baby.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty in his place again. That last line is much too long for the poetry.
Don't stand there shouting to yourself like that. Tell me your name and your business.
My name is Alice, but...
It's a stupid name enough. What does it mean?
Must a name mean something?
Of course it must. My name means the shape I am, and a good, handsome shape it is. Why, with a name like yours, you can be any shape. Almost.
Why do you sit out here all alone?
Why? Because there's nobody with me. Did you think I didn't know the answer to that? Ask another.
Don't you think you'd be safer down on the ground? That wall is so very narrow.
What tremendously easy riddles you ask. Of course I don't think so. Why, if I ever did fall off, which there's no chance of, but if I did fall off, the king has promised me, you may turn pale if you like. Did you think I was going to say it? Did you? The king has promised me, with his very own mouth, to
send all his horses and all his men.
Now I declare that's too bad. You've been listening at doors and behind trees. and down chimneys. Otherwise, you couldn't have known it.
I haven't indeed. It's in a book. And what a beautiful belt you've got on. At least, a beautiful cravat, I should have said. No, a belt. I mean, I beg your pardon. I wish I hadn't chosen that subject. If only I knew which was neck and which was waist.
It's very provoking when a person doesn't know a belt from a cravat.
I know it's very ignorant of me.
It's a cravat, child, and a beautiful one, as you say. It was a present from the White King and Queen. There now.
Is it really?
They gave it to me. They gave it me for an on-birthday present.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not offended.
I mean, what is an on-birthday present?
Why, a present given when it's not your birthday, of course.
I like birthday presents best.
You don't know what you're talking about. How many days are there in a year?
365.
And how many birthdays have you?
1.
And if you take 1 from 365, what remains?
364, of course.
I'd rather see that done on paper. That seems to be done right. Goodbye.
Is that all?
That's all. Goodbye.
Of all the unsatisfactory people I've ever met. May I help you off with your helmet?
Now one can see more easily. I see you're admiring my little box. It's an invention of my own, to keep clothes and sandwiches in. You see, I carry it upside down so that the rain can't get in.
But the things can get out. Do you know the lid's open?
I didn't know it. Then all the things must have fallen out, and the box is no use without them. You see, it's as well to be provided for everything. That's the reason the horse has all those anklets around its feet.
But what are they for?
To protect against the bites of sharks. It's an invention of my own. And now, I must be on my way. I hope you've got your hair well fastened on.
Only in the usual way.
That's hardly enough. You see, the wind is so very strong here. It's as strong as soup.
Have you made up a plan for keeping the hair from being blown off?
Not yet, but I've got a plan for keeping it on.
I would like to hear it very much.
First, you take an upright stick. Then, you make your hair creep up like a fruit tree. You see, the reason hair falls off is because it hangs down. Things never fall upward, you know. It's an invention of my own. You may try it if you like. You look sad. Let me sing a song to comfort you.
Is it very long?
It's long, but it's very, very beautiful. Everyone that either hears me sing it, either brings tears to their eyes, or else...
Or else what?
Or else it doesn't, you know? It's called a sitting on a gate. It's a tune of my own invention. I saw an aged man sitting on a gate, and now I must be on my way. I shan't be long. You see, when I get to that turn in the road, you'll wave your right handkerchief. It'll encourage me, you see.
Of course I'll stay. And thank you for the song. I liked it very much.
I hope so. But you didn't cry as much as I thought you would.
I hope it encouraged him. And now for the 8th square and to be a queen. Well, this is grand. I never expected I should be a queen so soon. And if I really am a queen, I should be able to manage it quite well in time. Would you tell me, please?
Speak when you're spoken to!
But if everybody obeyed that rule, and you only spoke when you were spoken to, and the other person always waited for you to begin, well, nobody would ever say anything, so that...
Ridiculous. Why, don't you see, child? What do you mean if you really are a queen? What right have you to call yourself so? You can't be a queen till you've passed the proper examination, and the sooner we begin it, the better.
I only said if.
She says she only said if.
But she said a great deal more than that. Oh, ever so much more than that. She's in that state of mind where she wants to deny something, only she doesn't know what to deny.
She's got a nasty, vicious temper. You know, I invite you to Alice's dinner party this afternoon.
And I invite you.
I didn't know I was to have a dinner party, but if there is to be one, I think I ought to invite the guests.
You know, we gave you the opportunity of doing it, but I dare say you've not had lessons in manners yet.
Manners are not taught in lessons. Lessons teach you to do sums and things of that sort.
Well then, can you do addition? What's 1 and 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 1?
I don't know. I lost count.
She can't do addition. Can you do subtraction? Take a bone from a dog. What remains?
The bone wouldn't remain if I took it, and the dog wouldn't remain since it would come to bite me. And I'm sure I shouldn't remain.
Then you think nothing would remain?
I think that's the answer.
Wrong! As usual. The dog's temper would remain.
I don't see how.
Why, look here! The dog would lose its temper, wouldn't it?
Perhaps it would.
Then if the dog went away, its temper would remain.
They might go separate ways. What dreadful nonsense we are talking.
She can't do sums a bit.
Can you do sums?
I can do addition if you give me time, but I can't do subtraction under any circumstance.
Of course you know your ABC.
To be sure I do.
So do I. We'll often say it over together, my dear. And I'll tell you a secret. I can read words of only one letter. Isn't that grand?
Can you answer useful questions? For example, how is bread made?
I know that. You take some flour.
Where do you pick the flowers? In the garden or in the hedges?
Well, it isn't picked at all. It's ground.
How many acres of ground? You mustn't leave out so many things.
You know, fan her head. She'll be feverish after so much thinking. She's all right now. She's all right. Do you know languages? What's the French for fiddle-dee-dee?
Fiddle-dee-dee's not English.
Whoever said it was.
If you tell me what language fiddle-dee-dee's in, I'll tell you the French for it.
Queens never make bargains.
I wish queens never asked questions.
Don't let us quarrel. Which reminds me, there was such a thunderstorm last Tuesday. I mean, one of the last set of Tuesdays, you know?
In our country, there's only one day at a time.
Pooh.
That's a poor, thin way of doing things. Now here, we have days and nights, 2 or 3 at a time. And in the winter, we have as many as 5 nights together. For warmth, you know.
Then 5 nights are warmer than 1?
5 times as warm, of course.
You know, Humpty Dumpty saw it too. He came to the door with a corkscrew in his hand.
What did he want?
He said he would come in because he was looking for a hippopotamus. Now, as it happened, there wasn't such a thing in the house that morning.
Is there generally?
Well, only on Thursdays.
I know what he wanted.
It was such a thunderstorm. You can't think.
She never could, you know.
And part of the roof came off, and ever so much thunder got in, and it went rolling around in great lumps and knocking over tables and things, till I got so frightened, I couldn't remember my own name.
I never should try to remember my name in the middle of an accident. Where would be the use of it?
Your Majesty must excuse her. She means well, but she can't help saying foolish things as a general rule.
I am so sleepy.
She's tired, poor thing. Now, smooth her hair, lend her your nightcap. Oh, and sing her a soothing lullaby.
I don't have a nightcap with me, and I don't know any lullabies.
I must do it myself, then. Scoot over. Go on. Now. Hush-a-bye, lady on Alice.
Now what am I to do? To wake up, you heavy things! I don't think it ever happened before that somebody had to take care of 2 queens at once. No, not in all the history of England. It couldn't have, you know, because there never was more than 1 queen at a time.
Oh, my ears and whiskers, we shall be late.
Late for what?
For the banquet.
What banquet?
Why, your banquet, of course. Come on.
You've missed the soup and fish. You look a little shy. Let me introduce you. Alice, Mutton, Mutton, Alice.
May I give you a slice?
Certainly not. It isn't etiquette to cut into anyone you've been introduced to.
What impertinence! How would you like it if I were to cut a slice out of you, you creature?
Make a remark. It's ridiculous to leave all the conversation to the mutton. Remove the mutton.
I won't be introduced to the pudding, I hope, or we shall get no dinner at all.
Alice, pudding, pudding, Alice. Remove the pudding. Queen Alice's health.
Queen Alice's health.
You ought to return thanks in a neat speech, you know.
We must support you, you know.
To the looking-glass world it was Alice that said, I've a scepter in hand and a crown on my head. Let the looking-glass creatures, whatever they be, come dine with the Red Queen, the White Queen, and me. O looking-glass creatures, quoth Alice, draw near. 'Tis an honor to see me, a favor to hear. 'Tis a privilege high to have dinner and tea, along with the Red Queen, the White Queen, and me. So fill up your glasses with treacle and ink, and anything else that is pleasant to drink. Mix sand with the cider, and wool with the wine, and welcome Queen Alice with 90 times 9, with 90 times 9, with 90 times 9, and welcome Queen Alice with 90 times 9!
Something is gonna happen!
I can't take this any longer!
We just wanted to take a few more moments of your time to thank some people who don't really get recognized for all the things that they do for us backstage. And you see all of us on stage, and we've all contributed as part of the production class, but there's some really special people who helped make all of this possible, and we really couldn't have done anything without them.
Yes.
So the first people we'd like to thank is the auditorium staff. Marco, Gera, Bernie, Mauro, come on out here.
Come on out here, guys. Come on. Come on.
Las chiquitas. Las chiquitas. cuarta chiquita? Había unas rosas. Aquí están.
Yeah.
Tráetelos. Sorry.
Got it.
Ven. Sí, bueno, they're up in the auditorium booth, so se lo das. The next person we have to thank, she really helped with the set design. It was designed by students, but she came in and she organized the painting and the coordination of all of it. So Miss Ale Cantu, if you're here. No? Sorry, she left apparently. And the last two people, just to tell you a little bit how this class works, it's the production class, and half of us were the actors, and the other half was the production class, and they basically did everything here. And the two people who helped organize us are Mr. Segovia and Miss D. Norman, so if you could please come up here. No. And anyways, so thank you guys so much for coming out and supporting the arts, and please look forward to our next function, Bye Bye Birdie, and that will be November 19th through 21st. So thank you so much and have a good evening, and happy Halloween!